Hello, and welcome to another great episode of Table Talk with Community Heroes. And I'm your host, Michael Taylor. And today we're going to be having a special guest today, talking with Tyrone Starkey. He's the creator and he's the CEO of Community Heroes. Tyrone, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing okay, Mike. Just taking it one day at a time and trying to adjust to this weather as we going into the fall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This pandemic, with everything, how did you adjust to it by the time, in March, and, with all that stuff with, the no alcohol, everybody got to wear a mask. How do you adjust to all this thing being virtual and
Yeah,
everything being like it is?
yeah. It definitely was a shocking transition. Because I never forget. For me, we were hearing stories about the pandemic, and I was working at Wayne Community. And I remember around March, we were talking about how ECU was talking about having their students come back
Yeah,
and
they
during
completely
their spring,
virtual.
come back during their spring break, and it was gonna be virtual. And then me and my wife had went on our it was like our anniversary. We went to out of all places we went to Fayetteville because everything was getting shut down.
Hmm.
And we went there. We were going to see Cast and Crowns, and we were just have a good time. And while I was there, we got the email saying that the college was going to shut down. And I was like, oh man. And from that day forth in March, um, that I hadn't been back on campus regularly to work. I've been working from home. So, it definitely made me had to adjust. I'm used to interaction. You know, uh, my title is a tutor on the staff here. So I'm used to interacting with students all the time. I'm used to being around a lot of colleagues. And
Yeah.
then going from that to jumping at home, basically on the computer, uh, it was a drastic change.
Yeah, I agree with you because you just mentioned about ECU, man, and I had been just before everything completely closed down, and there were people, employees at the library at that school, and there wasn't anybody necessarily any students, but I went by there just to see if I could just still still get books and everything was completely online, even early on, before the end of the summer. Everything like at June was, completely just locked down. Nobody could go inside except somebody working. So man, you were right about that because man, it was a mess because trying to do everything online and how you were talking about events got canceled. At least you was trying to go. How did that work out with going to Cassius Crowns and everything? Did that kind of work out anyway?
We 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 didn't see Cast and Crown, which is it's a contemporary Christian group.
Uh,
Uh, it was going to be them and Matthew West, another Christian singer. And we got down there, and well, I think they announced about 2 days before that that was going to be canceled. But I already paid for a nice hotel, so we went for that because I had spent a nice amount of money for to stay at a nice place, and so we went anyway. And then we went to like I think the military veterans center. They got display they had there, and we went to the movies, but that got canceled, and they still haven't had the concert yet. It's been postponed twice. Um, so they gave us the option to, on both times, you can either get your money back or just wait until I guess the doors open again.
Yeah, because I had that same thing, where it was absolutely like we were going to do that thing with Angela Bassett, where they have that women's empowerment, and I
Yeah,
wanted my mom to have tickets, but I think they just refunded it. I don't think they're going to even have it for a very long time. And I know exactly what you're talking about when, they you don't actually know what actually the updates because I think she put some money toward the tickets too, but she never did get the refund. So that's still up in the air. So, man, a lot of changed. Do you feel like, but like, with Brandon, he really have grown and moved on. And Mallory, she's really, you know, spoke about a lot of things have changed. Do you feel like it's put a strain on all of us with all that stuff? How do you feel like the future of your new business transitioning being a teacher to going to this? Because this stuff we don't know what the change is.
yeah. Well, just kind of answer what you said in sequence. For as far as Brandon and Mallory, I believe definitely that just the events that happened has, affected them just as much because, you know, um, Brandon, for those who don't know, Brandon is was our director for the social media.
Hmm.
He's still very much a part of Community Hero, though, but he's gone on to do some other endeavors, and we support him for that. But with him, with Brandon, he has his own businesses. With Brandon Photography, Brandon's Consulting. He does a lot of that stuff. And um, when the pandemic hit, again, like we just said, it caused a lot of the sports and events that happened throughout Wayne County and surrounding areas to get shut down, which meant
Hmm.
he didn't have as many events to go to do his photography or his interviews because he's especially doing
Yeah.
sports interviews. So that definitely caused him to have to be more of a administrative person, having to call these people,
Yeah.
email them, and do it that way, and do the virtual interviews.
Because
So I know it affected him from that point. And for his Mallory, I know a lot of things that she liked to do is outdoors. I think she's very active with riding her bike and just doing things outdoors and helping out in the community. So it definitely affected her that she didn't have as many opportunities to help out like she wants to.
yeah, because I mean, the guy was really on it, and this affects, that being able to just interact with people, man, being able to do your job the way, everybody has to stay at home and work virtually from home like that, it affects just the way that they would do things normally. Because I remember before, he did his photography, but he interact with those people a lot. So it takes away something that you love. So I know definitely, with things that you do, that's affected you a lot with not being able to deal with the people. Community heroes become a big part of your life trying to get that started. You love just interacting with the people.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah, unfortunately, I've invested a lot of time into community heroes, and really myself and everyone involved has, me from this part, just more of reaching out to people, trusting people. It takes a lot to trust people because you gotta reach out to them and say, "Hey, I need your help. Will you help me?" And be hopeful that whenever you tell them that you need their help, they're gonna fall through with what they say they will help with. So you got that aspect, and you got the aspect of trying to do things like a business, even though it's nonprofit. That's one thing I had to learn is that you know uh, The United Way or uh, Goodwill Foundation is just as much ran just like Microsoft Office is ran. Both of them are businesses. It's just how they use their assets are just different, but they both still got paperwork. They both got employees. They both got to pay taxes. You know,
Yeah.
they both got to think about having revenue. And they pay people to work. And for me, I'm not a business major, but just understanding that I have to have these people around for my vision to be something big and bigger. One of the biggest things in Wayne County. That's my vision. Within like 10 years, I would like to see community heroes up there with some of the more known businesses that started in Wayne County, like Enjoy, um, you know, what what's the Once Upon a Child, things like that. When you start hearing these small businesses, but you hear them, people know what it stands for, what they're about, their presence in the community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because you're trying very hard to kind of reach out, and everything has to be totally by telephone or by. So I know it had to been kind of stringent with that whole thing like that.
Yeah.
I see that all the hard work you did, and it was excellent seeing that telephone calls and getting those interviews. When you have to kind of work with two other people that you got to do it the very next day or two. You know, because you got your own life, but you have to stay on it and all that, stay on track of it. So that's kind of the accomplishment I'm looking at about it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's, it's like I said, it does take a lot of time and effort, but I think it's just your desire, how bad you want and how bad you believe in something. It's like last night I was up to, man, I was up to probably about 1:30. I started probably about 10, up to 1:30 last night, just messing around on our website, changing the look of it, adding information. Uh,
Well, yeah, that's
you
something
know,
I'm thinking of too. Yeah.
and those things like that, until we get the funds up to actually hire a webmaster, those are some of the sacrifices you may have to make as an administrator to do it yourself, learn how to do it and take care of it, Um,
Because me and you were kind of talking about that earlier about the website. I think you kind of you got you know a very optimistic view about your website. You would prefer for it to have more variables, but you kind of, or am I wrong about that? You kind of feel like there's still some time to just kind of tweak it for later. They kind of improve on it later on and kind of let people look at it. Dealing with the amount of people we need right now, because in spite of all the hard work you've done, you kind of you letting that you know take it by ear, because you do a lot under pressure. You do a lot under pressure, with people transitioning or trying to get some more interviewers.
and, I always take the route of it's not about the quantity, the quality, yeah, the quantity of anything, whether it be, and we're talking about your web page, it's not about how many pages you got in there. It's not about how much information you got on the website. Or if we're talking about interviews, it's not about how many interviews you even done. But what it is about the quality of it and the impact of it. You
Right.
know, and
Mhm.
on our website, it can be a very simple website that just maybe have what we're about, our board members, whatever programs we have, the basic information. Because let's be honest, when a person goes to a website, unless they're specifically looking for some deep details, the only thing people go to websites for are a contact. They need a contact to contact somebody. They want to know about pricing. There's something that they want. How much does it cost to do something? And the last thing is usually if there's like a specific event or service, but they don't really go to your website to find out the history of the website. You understand that if they go for the history, it's because they're probably doing some in-depth research to understand about how the history of the whole business. They want to be a business owner themselves or something. When you ask the average person in a week's time, how many times have you read the history section of a website or the mission statement, or ask them have they read the privacy the privacy policy of a website?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people don't know the privacy policy. They don't know the terms and conditions. So for when it comes to website, whenever I do it, I make sure that okay, I want to have our basics up there, but I'm not going to pay a lot of money, at least not right now because we don't have the revenue, for someone to put a bunch of information that somebody might not really look at, or it might not even reflect what Community Heroes is about. I want to make sure whatever we put out there reflects our mission. And the same thing for our interviews. Our interviews will be, it's going to fall into a couple of categories. Mm-hmm. Informational, our education talk, regular interviews, in which should focus on someone who has a barrier and has overcome that barrier and wants to shine the light on their story, so to give hope to somebody else. And then we have the table talk, which is our involvement in the community here in Wayne County. So bringing some people in from Wayne County and focusing on inclusion, trying to make sure that we all can work together as a community.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm probably not going to go out and ask for stories about makeup. I'm not going to ask stories about about surfing, unless someone has like special needs, like Soul Surfer or whatever. There's certain stories people are going to look at and they're going to ask, what does this have to do with Community Heroes? And I don't want us to be in a position to where we're just putting out a bunch of interviews or a bunch of information that's not relevant to our targeted population.
Just for the sake of argument, Tyrone, while you were thinking about that, and you had said about what a lot of your website includes, just for the sake of argument, like if a audience had happened to run across your website through Facebook, or they had heard about you through friends, and they would say, if someone would say, they don't know what your mission is through Community Heroes, something like around those lines. Mm-hmm. They don't know what the target mission is behind your business.
So if they didn't know, I'll tell them they can go to our website, www.communityheroes.net, and then the way it's lined up, there's a couple of drop-down menus on the banner. If you look at the second option that says menu, you click on that, a drop-down list will come down. Mm-hmm. On that drop-down list, if you go to About Us, you'll see our story first. And then as you scroll down the page, in the middle of the page, it says mission. So it says, it says to embrace the special needs population. It says to provide mentors, education, and transformation in the community. and to create an all inclusive community. So those are our three things that they will see on that page. And the mission is in a horizontal line. So mission, then vision, and goals on that particular line.
So it wouldn't include mentoring about how you guys are about trying to bring mentors to to the community heroes.
Yes, and that like, so that's the second part of the mission, where it says to provide mentors, education, and transformation. So you're right. That is one of the goals that we want to accomplish as an organization. Uh, I think we all can pretty much agree that mentors are essential for the success of really anyone, but especially someone who has a who is classified as special needs.
And that's
Uh,
something y'all provide. That's something that you and your business and community hero. That's something y'all provide. Y'all want to provide more of.
yes, we want to provide more access to mentors, and especially and essentially to the individuals who fall into the 17 to 30 age group. And in my heart, I feel like that bracket is important, because what happens is in grade school, you get access to different resources if you have special needs. So you get, you have your counselor, you got your remediation classes, there's sources like vocational rehab and things like that. There's all sorts of, things out there, whenever you're in grade school,
Mhm.
elementary all the way up to, high school. But when it's time for you to graduate, that, all those resources that you can tap into start to slim down. But that's really the point to where you're really going to need a mentor, because there's so many individuals who fall into especially at risk category, that want to be independent. They want to eventually have their own house, their own car, or they just, whether it be an apartment or whatever. But the mentor that they have not going to necessarily be there. There's VR, but VR helps with jobs. And there's things like workforce ease, but they still help with jobs. We're talking about a mentor that will sit down with you, find out what your goals are, or is transitioning into the working world. And your goals is to have your own place in 1 year. Is it to learn how to drive before the year is over with? Is your goal to go to college? You know, we're trying to find out is your goal to travel out of North Carolina before 2 years is over with. And some people like travel out of North Carolina. That's very important for someone who has a special need, because sometimes if the only thing you've seen is your backyard, you don't know the world is bigger than your backyard.
Mhm.
You know, so it's very important to understand that the travel is also important.
Oh
Cultural experiences are very important.
yes.
So that's what I want to provide with that mentorship. That someone is going to help them meet the small goals, and ultimately help them find independence.
Okay. Understanding culture, independence, and having a sense of self worth for their own, just for their own self esteem. That's great. But you know something, that was lead my with my next question, Ty. Um, I had a question about education. I didn't know what your stance was on that. Is definitely for the pandemic. That's a different challenge altogether because it's all virtual. But specifically about a lot from what I get. a lot of education these days are, it's specifically saying about a lot of American kids don't get a lot enough time in with a good education with studying, like illiteracy with reading. We're behind in being the top 10 of students across the world of, and reading is one of the biggest things that's of need. I didn't know, how do you feel about the state of education?
Um, it's always been a tough issue whenever we're talking about where we stand in comparison with other countries and uh, the level that we would like to be at. I do think just trying to optimize reading and things like that is very important. I'm kind of on the fence about it because I don't want to get on my personal soapbox
Oh,
on those issues, but I do feel like some of the generation coming up now, I do think the importance of understanding proper English, uh, reading, proper sentence structure has been minimized. Uh, and I think that's just because of the times and the culture. You know, I feel like we need to. I don't know what we can do to change it because it's some things. It's just hard to do, especially when you have a whole culture that's following this bandwagon of not reading or they'd rather see a video or hear it through a song or you see it now with the shorthand messaging with through texting now and chatting online, a lot of shorthand stuff, abbreviations are going on, and it's taken away from you know our our literacy, our education, and things like that. So, only thing I believe we can do is just continue to advocate for reading, let them know why reading is so important. Um, let our young people understand that
yeah.
abbreviations are okay, but it's also good to know how to be literate and write words correctly.
And you know what? Another thing is too is the influence is a lot of the American way over the years has been because of the way that our philosophy is. You know, and I'm pretty sure you probably have noticed it too. Our philosophy, even though you're a professor and you've been on the other side with all sorts of obstacles, our kind of way is to kind of just, if you have issues with things, especially with males, is to never ask for help. And females suffer from it too while being in a college setting. But just most in general, school is just generally is to, if they have one strength, then they just lean on that one. And kids are very impressionable, especially younger kids. If their parents praise them for this, and I know that a lot of times why I didn't know a lot of subjects myself, because you know it's not reinforced about being a very good math student or being good at science. If you had that person that eh, I think one person told me was, if you know how to you get that one uncle that knows how to explain that really complicated subjects, the one that know how to explain it, and you got that one that doesn't, that make it, like a teacher that says stuff, but you got those teachers that really break it down from your point of view, that take that time to do that. And you have that at home a lot of times. You have people that know how to explain things. And then, I mean, that's just my point, my side from my personal experience.
Yeah, um, yeah. We said a lot of things a while ago. Um, I know you were just saying how some of the generation, how they're kind of reluctant. I think a couple of things happen there, and that's just part of human nature. One thing that popped in my mind was the mob mentality that a lot of times we have.
Uh-huh.
People are so fearful that um, I'm guilty of myself. If you're in a surrounding and you know you, you feel like if you ask a question or you prolong something, you know, everyone else is like either ready to move on to the next subject or everybody's ready to leave altogether. And if you do something to interrupt what will eventually happen, then you feel like everyone's against you. That's what I call the mob mentality. So, you know, and we all been there. You got that night class. Class is supposed to be over with at 10 o'clock, but the teacher might let us go early, 9:45. But you're in there, you just really not getting what the instructor is saying. You got 15 minutes left, but you
Uh,
don't want to ask anything because the instructor already done said. Does everybody understand?
yeah, that's my experience. You're not gonna go far by asking more questions or that time for the test, information that will be vital for a test. It's kind of our way, you know.
Yeah, that's why I call it the mob mentality. We don't want the majority to feel like they're going against us. We don't like ostracism. We don't like to be outcast. Even though you have a lot of people that say they don't care about that, but the reality is, somewhere deep down inside, this is something we don't like.
I guess I'm looking at it from the point of view, like we were just saying. You saying is the mob mentality. The idea is like you have to pretend, even if you don't pretend to know
Yeah.
something.
And then the other thing is, when there's something that you asked,
Take your time.
yeah, the other thing is, a lot of times we have that fear of feeling incompetent. Like we, my wife said sometimes she was like, well, I didn't ask that because I didn't feel like it was a stupid question. In school, we might have talked about something in the past, and I've heard people say that, they don't ask, they don't stay behind to ask questions because they felt like it was stupid or, you know, they don't want to feel incompetent. But the reality is that's the whole point of going to school. You pay to go to school to ask all the questions you want, no matter how silly, how trivial they are. That's why you go into a classroom to ask questions.
Exactly. And that's just one. Other things are I've been told you had a podcast, man. It's been a while since you did the podcast again. How do you feel about that in the current months ahead? You feel like you got some time to do some more table talk and so interviews, or you feel like maybe you might go back into doing some of the podcasts again?
I personally like the interview part where I can actually see who I'm talking to. I feel like even though the podcasts I did, they were great, with the people I did it with, but with the interview, like now, something about having that visual there, you can kind of see the person's facial expression. Uh, you can kind of see how their vibe is going. You can see if they're uncomfortable. It makes it a little bit better uh, for me. And plus, I'm kind of a geek when it comes to tech stuff, so I like to do the video and then go back and maybe edit the video and add some cool effects to it. When I
Mhm.
did the podcast, only thing I really could do was I could talk on the phone and talk to the person and upload the audio, but that was really about it. And
Okay.
sometimes it depends on how good the phone connections. I have more issues with those than I've had with doing it on the computer. For some reason, you know, the person decide they want to walk around while they're when they're doing a podcast, then the signal get all bad and everything. You know, I would like for them to stay still, but
But those
I'm
podcasts
not.
are good.
Yeah. Uh, so, but yeah, like I said, I don't. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna ever do another podcast because I would like to still put some stuff on Spotify for those who may just be jogging and still want to listen to to interviews. So, um, if anything, I can turn these videos into audio and put them up as podcasts.
Yeah, and turn it into one of those, you know, once in a lifetime gotta see podcasts, you know,
Yeah,
that people really need to see because you got some classics that I really enjoyed, especially that one and the first one that you ever did. And of course, the ones that you've done after have been really good with Table Talk. You built that, helped build that, and your team, you know, not without your team, have really contributed that too. They help make it what it is, but that was really good.
yeah,
What turned
they've
that
been a
interview
great
in.
job. We got some more. We got some other interviews coming up. I'm working on. I got about. I got three potential interviews that will be coming up. I just got to get the contract set up. Of course, you know, we talked to Sanika, so she'll be out here,
Okay,
and then
so that's some updates on that.
and a family member of mine. She's a newscast person for a channel in South Carolina. I'm gonna interview her. I'm filling out the contract now, so
Okay,
we're gonna interview with her, and then I'm working on. I'm trying to get. Um, I, I'm trying to. I don't think I wait to. I ain't gonna do this. I ain't gonna do a spoiler alert for the third person, but I'm working on third person also. So I don't want to call that person name until I have it at least more confirmed down. I
okay.
touch bases with the person at least.
You feel like that there could be some time for some more updates until
Yeah,
okay. But they're all the same though, man. Your interviews are awesome at best because nobody's done this at this kind of approach like this. I mean, of course, I know where you got the idea from because of your own personal experience, but nobody's approached it from this aspect. Gather other people with all the same or other types of disabilities that we haven't yet known of and just have a conversation with them. That's so unique because people want to hear people's stories, but they don't want to just hear people that had interact with them. They love to actually hear these guys' stories, and nobody's done that like this before.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the idea. Like you said, I just thank God for allowing it to manifest this far and the individuals that have helped. Because, you know, like I said, if one for you guys, at least, you know, building this aspect of it up, you know, I was the other night when I was putting those videos up, I was like, man, you know, I'm like, I was looking at all the videos, the interviews we done, and then I was looking at all the table talks, and then all the things on, you know, table educational talks. I was like, we've done a lot in a very short time,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and you know, now there's so many more stories, and hopefully, you know, people understand all of this stuff is to do one thing at the end of the day, to let everyone know that no matter how different you may look, at the end of the day, we all have some kind of issue or barrier, and you just gotta learn how to work with it. You gotta learn. That's what we all do. We're just trying to work with what we got and make the best of it.
Everything is growth.
Yeah,
Everything is a growth experience for each journey that you take, going on to the next journey.
yeah. So there are some. I guess I can give some other updates about some things in the near future that we'll be working on. So uh, January and February, we'll be doing 2 more webinars.
Mhm.
Uh, January is the National Mentor Month.
That's an update.
Yeah, and then in February we'll do it's even though it's not the whole month, but Rare Disease Day is at the end of February, February 28th. Um, but the they rare disease organizations wants to try to push to make it the whole month
Hmm.
uh, for representation of rare diseases. So we'll do a webinar then. In January, our guest speakers will be R.J. Allen, um, Wayne County representative who does his own nonprofit, Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. Very big here. Uh, really here and around the world, he does the bracelets for people. They may know RJ, and he's spread them all around the U.S. and overseas, and he's done a lot with his message. And then the other individual is a native of Wayne County. Used to work at Wayne Community College in the Human Services Department.
Hmm.
He now works for Guilford Tech. Is the dean there. Manuel Dudley. He's very big. He was also one of the founders for the Minority Male Mentoring Program at Wayne Community College. So he'll be the second person that we'll have. And that's trying to remember the date in January. I
Hmm.
can't remember the exact date, but be on the lookout about a half a month before January comes around. So you'll know what dates and you can register in advance for seats for that.
Are you?
And
Oh.
three other things I'm really excited about. We're
Hmm.
gonna do a Twitter chat. I've never done a Twitter chat.
Oh.
Yeah, a Twitter chat is you find you create a hashtag and you have everybody follow that hashtag on Twitter, and then you do a series of questions and people respond back to it. So how it works is community heroes will get on their Twitter on a particular day. I think we're gonna probably do National Mentoring Month. We'll get up there and we'll create a hashtag. Maybe say it might be something like uh, it might be Mentoring Month CH for Community Heroes, and then we'll do questions. And the question will look like this: Q1. Have you ever had a person following us will respond back? A1. Yes, I've had a mentor in my life. Then about 5 minutes later, we'll throw another tweet up. Q2, do you think mentors are essential for individuals with special needs? Then people will respond back, A2, and the process keeps going.
Right.
We'll run this for probably about an hour, and now we'll promote that a little bit more for that. The other thing that we're going to do is um, we have a Twitch channel for my gamers, people that use Twitch. So Twitch is a streaming service where you can go on and play video games and people can actually follow you. Well, we're going to use Twitch as a fundraiser. We're going to have some. I got someone who has a Twitch account already. They're already familiar with it, but we're going to have something set up to where we're going to have a Twitch party. People can join our room and conversate with us
Mm.
and watch us play video games, but they can donate to our account. And
Okay.
we'll, and we'll have some guest speakers also in that video with people. So you'll see the person playing the game,
That's
but
what.
there'll probably be somebody else with the person, and they'll probably interview that person. We'll probably run for about 5 hours, you know. So you'll watch the person play, 30-minute interview, they'll go back to playing the game. And while we're doing that, people can be chatting in the room also.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how Twitch works. I would like to do it for Madden. So I got to work that out.
Okay.
And then there's something else, Twitch chat, there's something else, I can't remember what it is. I wasn't thinking I could call it out. Anyway, those are, I know, the main thing, Twitch chat and Twitch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you expecting a big turnout for the webinar, especially one in February?
In February, I think by the time February comes around and people kind of start saying that we've done two by that point already, I do think it's going to be a decent size. This right here, I think we're close to 10. It's not big, but I don't expect a lot. Well, now let me take it back. I'm not shocked at solo because this is our first one. We can have up to 100 people. I would love 100 people to show up. But
you don't know a couple people you already got in mind is probably coming. Some special guests.
For this one?
Yeah.
Well, whenever people register, I on Everbright, when that's what it's registered through, I see everyone's email address. So I know who's all coming.
Mm-hmm.
I get a chance to see all the emails. So there's a couple of people that have signed up that I'm glad they signed up that I know personally. So I'm excited about that. And then I've seen some people sign up that I had no idea who they are, but I'm glad they signed up.
Well, it's nice talking to you, Tyrone, and thank you for chatting with us today.
Oh, no problem. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And for our audience, thank you for another episode. And for those that like to follow our social media, Facebook, Community Heroes, Instagram, com_heroes, Twitter, #heroes, and YouTube, Community Heroes. As well, thank you for another episode of Table Talk, and look forward to see you on another episode.